Slayer, do you by any chance want to improve your Dauntless knowledge or want to know the core mechanics of said game? Well, despite that being a very specific request, I do have these 6 quick tips that every Slayer should know. So open your ears, and listen up. Reforging is the main game loop of Dauntless, revolving around resetting your weapon level back to 1, as well as using 100 ether sparks, so that you can craft an ether heart. These ether hearts are extremely valuable, as they are required to fully maximize a piece of gear, also known as power surging. Carefully decide what is worth dumping your hearts into. Ideally, you will reforge multiple times on your preferred weapon until you've completed a good build. Dauntless is very grindy. Knowing how to efficiently get items will save you some pain. Rams, merits, and cells can easily be farmed at events on the hunting grounds. All of these items will be used to increase your strength as a slayer. Rams will let you craft gear and buy items. Cells will be used to augment your builds and make the backbone of your potential. Lastly, merits will be used to expand your slayer's path and buy crucial things such as omnicells and lanterns. We have a term we call event hopping, where you queue for a public hunt and keep requeuing until you find one with an event that is currently ongoing. Monsters' parts are dropped in various ways. They can come from kills, specific part breaks, or complete RNG. Rare and epic drops are the two that are RNG. Each hunting grounds island has a small behemoth icon that dictates this monster as the guaranteed spawn, meaning this behemoth will always appear again if you kill it. If you are trying to get a different type to spawn that isn't the guaranteed spawn, then steer away from these behemoths. Ores and reagents are also shown in the description of each island, so take a look at it to track down any specific mats you may need. Most of us are accustomed to dodging away from attacks. However, Dauntless is much more forgiving. Dodging towards an attack is ideal. Our dodges have a lot of iframes that makes it very easy to dodge almost every attack. Secondly, Dauntless has a mechanic we call conditional extension, where getting hit or dodging through an attack will not hurt you for the remainder of that hitbox unless it refreshes or an entirely new hitbox comes into play. Mastering the art of dodging and learning early will help you curb stomp the harder behemoths down the line. Here is an example of the conditional extension mechanic. Malkarian here does a double tail attack. If you dodge the first tail swipe, conditional extension will trigger and make me immune to the second swipe. There are 4 main damage type numbers: core damage, the gray numbers, heart damage, the yellow numbers, stagger damage, the blue numbers, and wound damage, the red numbers. All of these separate types contribute to different things. Core damage is the damage type that actually kills behemoths and hurts their health. Heart damage is the damage type that breaks parts of a behemoth. Each part has a part threshold that, once met, will break said part and create a drop. Stagger damage is the damage type that hurts a behemoth's stagger threshold, causing it to stagger when the threshold is met. After each stagger, its stagger health gets reset and its threshold resistance will increase. Wound damage is the damage type that procs a wound on a behemoth. Making a wound will grant the user a buff known as Ether Rush. This buff will increase your damage, attack speed, movement speed, and stamina regeneration. Core damage is the most important one, as not only because this is what kills behemoths, but also increasing this will also increase all your other damage types as well. There's never really a situation where you'd invest into something that isn't pure damage. Descriptions of cells that don't specify a certain damage type are ones that will increase this, such as Overpower, Predator, Berserker, and Adrenaline. Interrupting is a core fighting mechanic in Dauntless, commonly called a boop by the community. Most behemoths have interrupt moves that, if hit with a heavy attack by a slayer, will cause it to enter a staggered state. Weapons have 2 types of attacks: primary attacks, your first button input, and secondary attacks, your second button input. For most weapons, the secondary attack is what boops. For chain blades, this is reverse, your first inputs will boop the behemoths. All of Axe's inputs can interrupt. Sadly, Repeaters do not innately come with a way to boop. You will need to have Saboteur's grip equipped to be able to, instead of Captain's grip. Each weapon has their own ways of booping, so make sure to learn and practice these moves, as they will significantly yield faster clear times. The middleman will be the most important NPC you will go to. He is responsible for crafting and upgrading cells. You cannot have an endgame build without interacting with this system. Here is some basic information of cells. Cells come from cores. You can open cores next to the middleman. Cells can only drop as a +1, the green ones. To get a +2 cell, the blue ones, you will need to combine two +1s together. The final tier of cell, +3, the purple ones, can be crafted by combining two +2 cells together. There are only 4 types of combinations you can do with cells. Keep in mind, the first 3 combinations needs the cells to be green or blue, +1 or +2, they cannot be purple, a +3. You can combine 2 cells of the same name and category to make a higher tier of that same cell. You can combine 2 cells from the same category but different name to get a random higher tier of a cell in that same category. You can combine 2 cells from completely different categories to get a higher tier of a random cell. And finally, you can combine a +3 cell and rams to make a complete random +3 cell. Something you may have noticed is that making cells takes time. You can instantly make the cell by using ether dust. The primary utilization of ether dust is to speed up this process, so don't hold back here. You can get more dust by recycling cells you don't want and or need at the middleman, by going to My Cells at the bottom of the screen. Small note, you cannot combine 2 cells of different tiers with each other. For example, you cannot combine a green cell with a blue cell, the game does not allow different tier combining. You also will only ever want 2 +3 cells in your cell inventory, since the highest level a cell can be in a build is 6. If you want to craft 2 +3 overpowers, you'll at minimum need 8 green overpowers. Which means if you don't know what cells you should recycle, you can at least make sure you have 8 of that cell first, and if you have any extra, you can recycle those knowing you already have enough to make 2 purple versions of that cell. I hope these 6 tips will help you on your endeavor. It's been a few rough years for Dauntless, no major content drop, no major changes, but the new summer update might just change things. We can consider this new update the biggest one Dauntless will ever have. So we're all just preparing until the time comes. By the way, I am nowhere near the best player, many others surpass my knowledge, so if you see something that is incorrect or misleading, then, do please point it out. All of this information was not discovered of my own accord. There is an official Dauntless Discord with a metric ton of information, ranging from builds, damage calculations, leaks from the devs and more. If any of this entices you, then head to the description, I will link it there.